Hey everybody, it's Tuesday night. Welcome to a brand new extension of Unlock the Middle. It's called Office Hours. And we're here together with administrators from around the United States to talk about what we face daily. So we're here, Josh Tovar, proud principal of Memorial Pathway Academy in Garland ISD, Garland, USA, welcoming everybody. So you're following us right now live on social media. Please make sure that you like us and share with everybody else and call everybody in. It doesn't matter where you're at, whether you're in Alaska, whether you're in Maine, whether you're in Florida, whether you're in California or Hawaii. Join us together because you know what? These are the situations and issues that we all address daily as we come up with a 22-23 school year. I would like to welcome our other guest. Go, Fred, introduce yourself.
Greetings, everyone. I'm Dr. Fred White, principal of the Bellevue Middle School in Memphis, Tennessee, home of blues and barbecue. Thank you guys for joining us. Glad to be here.
All right, Martin.
Barbecue. I had to stop on that one. I'm Marty Silverman, principal at Salinas Elementary School in beautiful San Antonio, Texas. And of course, Fred, Texas, the home of barbecue.
Exactly. And our host up there in Massachusetts, the blue blood area.
Massachusetts. I feel as though I am surrounded by the Texans tonight. There's no doubt about that. Dean Packard, principal of Charlton Middle School, one of the co-founders of Unlock the Middle, and so super pleased to be here tonight and starting off on something different. Office Hours is just a great opportunity for us to connect with other leaders around the country and just talk about things that just kind of make us a little bit better each time we go around and go into our jobs. So great to be here with you guys tonight. Throw out that quick thing, if everybody get to know us a little bit. What was one of those things, waffles or pancakes, Josh? What do you like? What do you like?
Waffles, pecan waffles. And the best ones are the Waffle House. I'm telling you, the Waffle House.
Frederick.
I'm definitely a pancake guy. Favorite place in the world, Cracker Barrel with their pancakes. Love them. Love them.
I guess Martin.
Well, it's got to be pancakes. Pancakes are the palate that can take every flavor. And pancakes at Jim's restaurant in San Antonio, Texas, the best you're ever going to find.
I love it. And I'm going to go with pancakes as well because you know what? I'm just not a waffle guy, and that's just the way that it goes. Snickers or Three Musketeers? Martin, here you go. One more.
Three Musketeers. Peanuts are superfluous and don't belong in candy bars.
Josh.
The diet of all administrators. Snickers, baby. The little ones.
Go. Frederick.
Man, Snickers. I mean, you're just not yourself until you have a Snickers. So.
And I'm a Snickers man myself. So we've got that out of the way right now. So now you know a little bit about us. Let's dig into the role of what we do. Hey, let's talk about making quick decisions on the fly and what that looks like in our role. Because you know something, every single day we are asked by somebody to do something to help them out. And, from the principal's lens, it's stop, drop, and roll and make it happen. Josh, why don't you start off right now? What does that look like from your lens?
I would say number one, anything that has to do with safety, especially in today's troubled times, anything that has to do with the safety and well-being of our team members, of our children, of our parents within the campus. Number one, safety issues. And always my thought process is worst case scenario, what do we do to ensure that everyone is kept safe? But also our decisions can also become legal. So how can we avoid and follow district policies and procedures to make sure that we're not on the witness stand?
Good point, Martin.
I'm going to go with what Josh said, but also extend that to it's the feeling of security, the relationships that we have with our kids, our families, our staff, so that they know that we're looking out for their best interests. We're worried about keeping them safe and that we are doing what we can to make sure that everything runs smoothly every day.
All right, Frederick.
I agree with both. But I think for me, the main thing is always having a backup plan. And when I say a backup plan for everything. Teachers out, backup plan. AP's out, backup plan. Superintendents in the building, no crossing guard, cafeteria, workers are missing. What's your backup plan? So, just being able to know, hey, this what goes on as soon as this domino falls, we need to go here. We need to do this, and having good people in place to help you out with those backup plans.
I think all those things are really good answers, and there's no doubt about that. Those snap decisions in the moment can define not only safety, but also the progression of your school and what that looks like. So I'm 100% with you guys with that. Digging a little bit deeper, and we got a 20-minute segment here, so I want to make sure that we capture as much as we can from our lens. Let's talk about our assistant principals and what that looks like, and how our job is to ensure that they are ready to be able to respond anytime. So why don't we start off with Frederick? What does that look like in your building?
With me, it's always training. I think everything that I do, I make sure that my AP understands. I think the failure of a lot of principals is that we don't make sure that our APs are well versed in every proponent of the work that we do. That means finance, that means security, that means climate and culture, that means facilities. I mean, unless you have trained your AP and they understand that they have to have those backup plans too, my AP knows if for some reason I'm out of the building, this falls on you. What are you going to do? Who is your backup person? How do you make sure the kids get fed? How do you make sure the kids get home? How do you make sure that the day proceeds and everybody remains safe? So once again, just training, making sure your AP knows what the job is. Unless you sit down and have those clear conversations with your AP will never be prepared to take on this role. So, yeah.
And that tickles back to building capacity. So I think any of us could probably say that everything that we do, we're making sure that we're CCing emails to your assistants. You are watching them, you're taking them, you're holding their hand, you're walking them through that, because they need to be your shadow. There's no doubt about that. And they need to know everything that you know, and they need to be able to respond in the exact same way that you think, but also to ensure that there's a parallel vision and that they have all that stuff right at their fingertips. So you hit that right on the head. Martin, take it away.
You know what, Dean? I think you just hit it on the head. One of the things that is part of the AP job typically is it runs in a parallel but separate lane than the principal. And so it's up to us to kind of take that barrier out between and let them know what we're doing, when we're doing it. And you know what, having done this a long time, it's easy for me to just get stuff done by myself. It doesn't take long and I can just get it done. But if I don't have my assistant principal kind of come over to my lane, she'll never know what it is that I do. And if she ever wants to be prepared to do it, because it's a whole different job.
Yeah. And let me chime in real quick. I think one of the key points is also making sure you have an AP you trust. And when I say trust, I mean somebody that you know that just because you're not there, they're still going to carry on and do the work.
Right.
They're not going to take off or take a break just because you're not, standing over their shoulder. So I like how you said making sure that they're your shadow for a while.
Josh.
The Lord blessed me to be an assistant principal at the elementary, middle school, and high school level for 13 years. And so I believed in these three philosophies. And I have passed that on to all my team member assistant principals that I work with, the philosophy that I live by. Rule number one, there's only one boss. There's only one boss on that campus. You're the assistant principal. You're there to assist the principal in his or her vision. Rule number two, you do everything that's in your job description from A to Z. From A to Z. If you finish at 4 o'clock, go home. If you have to stay till 1 in the morning, you stay till 1 in the morning, but you do your job from A to Z to make sure nothing gets to rule number one. Nothing gets to the principal's desk. And number three, don't splatter anybody with your whatever you're doing. Don't splatter me because you didn't finish testing bubbling. Don't splatter me because you didn't finish a fight. Don't splatter me or the PLC or collaborative team because you did not go in there for the meeting. It's your job to make sure you adhere to those three things. You do those three things, and it all starts and ends alpha and omega with my chair role modeling the expectation of those three things. That nothing gets to my area superintendent to make sure that they see me doing everything from A to Z and role modeling whatever my vision is.
Perfect. 100%. All three of you guys, you're right spot on with what you're saying. I'm going to take it one step deeper now that we're talking about this stuff here. Let's talk about student support teams, what that looks like in your building and how they become the extension of your vision of making sure that kids can meet with success across the board. I know in our school, we got a team of 7. We meet all the time, from school psychologists to nurses to adjustment counselors to assistant principals. They're all in there. And we're all always talking about one step ahead of what kids need. So that is vitally important for the success of any school. So let's throw that one to Josh first from your building.
the beauty of our campus is that it's so small. That's the luxury of it, that each hallway has its own little collaborative team that they're able to analyze and break that down the last 45 minutes of each day. If they require any kind of SEL support, they pass it on to me via their team leads. And that's an ongoing conversation. And again, that is the luxury of having a very small learning community within that campus. Our PLC talks to each other and any kind of support that we have. Then again, that's the other side about it. When you have a small community, you don't have a lot of support systems. If you from a 6A high school with 2,500 kids with 300 employees, then you know you have a lot of support staff. But in a small school, as long as we continue talking to each other, as long as the vision's out there of caring for kids, making sure that they learn their second language, which is English, make sure that they graduate in our non-traditional program, which is what that fabulous staff at Memorial Pathway does, is an ongoing conversation and stopping what we're doing because we're small enough to make sure that we support our kids.
Martin.
You know, listening to you, Josh, it almost sounds like how an elementary runs, because in an elementary school, we're very administratively lean. There's only me, one AP, one counselor, 730 kids, and one nurse. Everybody just does everything. It's not, the culture is that you can't stay completely in your lane because something comes up and there's maybe nobody else to do it. And so the good part of that is, one academic trainer, no dean, like that. And so we just make it work. One person can do a whole lot of things, more than you thought you could do. And it actually makes it, to me, more effective when you concentrate it rather than spreading it out over a whole bunch of people.
Frederick.
I really agree with the part about making sure that your collaborative teams, your PLCs all meet. One of the other things that we like to do is, once again, make sure that everything that we do is child-centered. When we have these conversations and we talk with our instructional leadership team, or we talk with the grade level teams or whatever team, it's always a question: is the work that we're currently doing work that's going to benefit the kids? So let's tie this back into our vision. Let's make sure that we celebrate those successes that we've had. Let's also make sure that we plan forward. So that means if we saw what, I think we've all just gone through our state testing, and we were just getting our results back. Now that we've looked at those results, now that we've seen how our kids did on the on their social emotional growth survey, how do we now plan to grow those kids even more? So we've already started having those conversations even in the summertime. And I think we've talked about this before. Actually, we're talking about this one. I haven't had off days. My teachers know that there's no such thing as an off day or summer break when it comes to us thinking or collaborating with each other. So, they'll shoot texts, they'll shoot emails, they'll go into our group and say, hey, I have this idea for next year, or can we do this? Just being vigilant when it comes to coming up with ideas to push each other, hold each other accountable, and serve the kids. That has to be an ongoing thing. And if I could do it like Josh and get my social media stuff really rolling with that, man, I'd be perfect.
You're speaking about all that stuff, and you guys have put out some really good nuggets. Talk a little bit about, if you could, because we're running up on 7 minutes left of the segment here. What are some of your big plans here as you look to open up your school year? Frederick, I think you have school years opening up before anybody else. Okay, mine doesn't start until the August 29th or so. So I've got some time right here. But what's something you're doing to ensure that we're going to put those puzzle pieces together, and you're going to be hitting the ground running coming out of post-COVID?
So we've done a lot of things already. We have our bridge program for our incoming sixth graders. We're a 6 through 8 school, so our bridge program is currently going. We've had summer academies for all of our scholars. The couple of scholars that we had that did not pass, they had summer school, but summer academy was open to every scholar, and that was going to trying to increase their Lexile reading scores, help them with their math. The bridge program is to get those sixth graders ready to understand how the schedule works. So those are the small components that work with the functionality, and some of those pieces that work with growing them as they come back. But the teachers and I are also looking at the master schedule as we start to put kids in courses and try to be very purposeful when we assign kids their exploratory classes, or what what class they're going to be in, which teacher they're going to have, what teacher had the highest scores, seeing which kids we need to match those teachers with. So a lot of very purposeful work when it comes to putting kids where they need to be for that learning piece and getting them ready for this new school year. And I'm quite sure you guys are doing some of the same things.
You're going to find some similarities here. Martin?
Yeah.
So being in an elementary, we have kids from age 3 to about 11. And so most of those kids have had most of their lives in COVID. They don't know what a non-COVID life feels like, a lot of those kids. And so our big push this year, as it was this past year, is to provide experiences for our kids to connect with each other, to connect with the community, to connect beyond the community. We have a potential connection to a school in England that we're going to work on some project together. We're gonna do something there. We're also going to provide, our PTO is going to help us provide an enrichment activity. We're going to do a First Friday every first Friday of the month. We're going to provide an arts, a physical, an academic, some kind of activity that gives the kids some schema so that they can, connect back with the world for those who remember it, and to connect with the world for those who don't remember it. And so we're doing inside the school day clubs. We're doing in and out of school activities, just again to provide lots of scheme and experiences to connect with the community.
Great stuff. Josh?
The most important job that we have in our chair, and the best gift we could ever give kids, is hiring and supporting our teachers. That's the number one job that goes hand in hand, carne y uña, as an administrator with our families, is making sure, and our goal this year is to make sure we have a large turnover and we have a bunch of novice team members at Memorial Pathway Academy. So my goal is to make sure that we continue with fidelity, our instructional rounds so that they learn. Because you know what, who the best PD is? You know what the best training is? Within the campus, because they already know our population, our kids, and they know how to meet the needs of those students. And then after that, we could start going to conferences somewhere else. But as for right now, the whole focus at Memorial Pathway Academy and Garland USA, Garland ISD, is to prepare our first year and second year teachers.
So I'm hearing staff, systems, tiered interventions, allowing to take barriers out so all kids can learn. Think about that. That's what great schools do all the time. And that's a lot of front loading behind the scenes to be able to ensure that all kids will have access to the learning at their level. And you know what? Once those systems are in place, great things happen. I know at our level, we're additionally going to be having some transition days. We're going to have cookouts for kids coming in. We're going to have mock scheduled days. They get to walk through them. They get to do scavenger hunts, all those types of things to make the transition into school so much easier. And I have 10 through 14-year-olds, so it's 5th grade through 8th grade. At the end of the day, you want your place to be that place where kids are so happy to go and they just completely just talk about it all the time. And if you're doing that and you're doing that with fidelity, as we talked about earlier, guess what? Positive ripples happen. People want to work for you, and that staff just becomes so contagious of doing the right thing. So yeah, you're all up on the same page. Hey, we're down to 2 minutes, guys. Toss something out in the ring. 2 minutes and counting. What do you got?
Some advice for AP, since our address was assistant principals. Some advice. Hey, if you want to be an assistant principal, if you're an assistant principal, know your politics. Don't ever burn any bridges. Always be positive with everybody, because you never know when they're going to be on your interview committee. Know your politics.
Stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. You got a highway. You have a job to do. That job connects with a lot of different people. Look forward. Stay in that lane. Marty?
Do your job, APs, but also be curious about other people's jobs. Learn what they do, learn how they do it, and see how it connects with what you do.
Frederick?
I'll say the same thing. APs, there are so many things out there that people tell you that your job is, and it's not just safety. It's not just bus duty. It's not just books. It includes those things. But if you are not asking your principal about how to do the budget, how your finance for the different pieces work, how do they deal with the politics of it, how do they reach out to your board chair or your district commissioner or things of that nature, you are missing the point. You have to know all of those pieces, not just buses and books and cafeteria duty. So APs, reach out, learn, as Martin said, learn everything that you can. As Josh said, know your role. And also, as Dean said, know your role, but make sure you are putting that work in.
And right there, ladies and gentlemen, our office hours are now closed from Tennessee, from the state of Texas, and from the New England region. We have these awesome administrators learning from each other. Please, if you're hearing us on replay, make sure you share your comments. What are your ideas? Because you know what? We're only stronger together. Let's go home, Dean. The office is closed.
The office is closed. Have a great week, everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight. Gentlemen, always a pleasure. Be well, everybody. Stick around if you can for a moment.